Hey, this is Chris, keeping it real. Facts over fear, how you doing? So, as I go through life and I interact with various business entities and people that work in stores, and, anytime in any kind of business environment where I need something from somebody and I'm willing to pay for it, I've begun to wonder, like in the last 5 or 6 or maybe even 10 years, does anyone really know what they're doing anymore? I mean, do they? I mean, seriously, do they really have an understanding of their job? Do they understand, for example, when I call a customer service line, it's like, do you understand the company you're working for? And can you communicate what the company can do for me when I'm asking a question about what you can do for me? Since I'm paying the freight, right? I mean, I would like to know what you can do because I'm a customer of yours, and so I think that's a pretty reasonable assumption that the people I'm talking to would know. And I understand it's not easy to be really customer service. It sucks. I mean, I get that, and so I'm never. I wouldn't say I never get upset, but I always take that into consideration before I get upset. It really takes a total ineptitude on the part of the customer service representative to really get me going, right? But I'm happy to say that yesterday I had a need. I have a Bank of America business account for my business, and I go to stores like home improvement stores or hardware stores or distributors, and I want to run everything through that. I want to run all my business stuff through that card. And so if that card is not functioning in an optimal manner, then that keeps me from being able to do that. And therefore, it makes it harder for me next April to make sure that I am putting down the proper amount of income and expenses on my Schedule C. That's kind of a big deal, right? So my debit card, it's a business debit card. It's not. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. There are some places it never works, and the people there are happy to manually enter the number. I know there are places that will not enter a number because they're scared of fraud. And fortunately, the number of places where my card does not work at all is one right now. So, and it could be their machine, but my card gets scan errors enough. Like you have to put the card in, card read error, take it out, put it back in. Okay, it worked that time. That's not what you want. You want to be able to put the card. Well, what I want is that I should just be able to tap the card on the display, and then it should just do its thing. I'm not worried about touching other people or having other people touch my card. I'm just, it's just easy, right? I could do a cash business, then I'd have to keep all those receipts. It's like, wow, it's just so much easier to have a properly functioning debit account, bank account with a functioning debit card. So I called Bank of America, and I got it, and it was a kind of a long wait, but you just kind of expect that these days because they're understaffed. And so I always take that into consideration. It is really raining right now. And so I called, and a very polite young woman answered the phone and said, "What can I do for you today?" And I said, "Look, I've got this card. It doesn't always work." Well, there were two things I needed. I needed a working card, and then I also needed an extra card for my wife on the business account. Just so she could have one. Not that she's really going to make business purchases, but, like she told me, if something happens to me, she would like to have access to the account so she can get the money out if she needs to. That's a perfectly reasonable thing to ask. because I've got the card, and you can always say, well, you always have my card, but then you never know what might happen, right? And so I thought that was a good idea. So I'm talking to the customer service rep. I said, look, my card often doesn't work. I need a replacement card. And so she said, no problem. And then we talked a couple minutes more, and then I said, now look, is anything about this card going to change? In other words, am I going to have to re-enter all my bank information from where I've got this card registered online to buy things online? And she said, well, the number's going to be the same, name on the card's going to be the same, but the little I can't remember what that little 3-digit number on the back of the card's called. Right off the top of my head, because I don't talk about that very often. But she said that will change, and so you may need to re-enter that number. And so I said, okay, and then I said, I just want to make sure. So my card's still going to be good until. And she said, oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, here's what's going to happen, here's the steps. Everything's going to be the same except for that 3-digit number. You still use your card, and then when you activate the new card, the old card goes away. I said, great, that sounds good. She said, you have 3 to 5 business days, and then you can do what you need to do on your end as far as activating. I said, great. I said, now how about my wife's card? She said, yeah, no problem. She asked me for her name. I gave her name. She said, okay, now this is a little bit more complex because we're adding someone to your account, and so she's going to have to do a little extra verification. But I said, fine, it's just a phone call, it's not a big deal. And it was just, so I got everything I need. It took longer on, well, no, it didn't. Well, it was probably about equal time. It took about the same time to get all that concluded as it did for me to wait on hold, which is my only complaint about the call. But as far as the customer service rep, she was great. And I told her that. I said, I really appreciate your help. I don't think they hear that a lot. Probably because people are unreasonable. But nevertheless, the whole point of this, I just tend to ramble, right? But the whole point is, I was able to call, and I was able to achieve my goal for the call, and get what I needed, and have a pleasant conversation. And that was nice. And the reason why I'm making a video about it, it's the exceptional example, because so many times I get on the phone and I try to call somebody, try to do something, and they just, or I'm in a store and I ask somebody to do something, and it's just like, I don't know. To me, it's either one of two things. You're just ignorant, or you just don't care. Apathy and ignorance, right? I don't know what your problem is. I don't care what your problem is. And I understand, employees are under a certain amount of pressure, but it's like, come on, it's your job. And if you don't want to do the job, then don't do it. Because people are paying money, and I get, and I think if the chairman of the board and the board members of corporations and the presidents and the CEOs and the COOs had to actually do the job that they were asking their employees to do for the amount of money they're asking their employees to do it, if they had to do it for one day, they'd have a nervous breakdown. And they would quit work forever. That's what I think. But that's just my opinion. Anyway, I just wanted to highlight a very positive customer service interaction I had yesterday. So I guess what's the bottom line? The bottom line is, unless the person you're talking, if you have a problem and you're calling customer service, unless you can understand that they really are totally uncaring, or you can determine that they just don't know what they're doing, cut them a little slack. That's all I can say. There have been times when I have not done that. I regret it, and it's called learning. That's right. I do actually learn from my experiences because I have self-awareness, and so should you. All right, have any questions or comments? Leave them in the section below. Like and subscribe. We appreciate when you do. We'll see you on the next rambling video.